Alright, apparently we're live here on YouTube. I have said 100 times I'm no expert at YouTube yet, more likely to be doing these videos on Facebook. So it would be much appreciated if anyone's watching this to give me a comment or a thumbs up or let me know that everything's working. Because yeah, like I said, new to YouTube but experimenting with it. But in case you're wondering why I'm standing here in this sort of unusual looking place, it's the arènes de lutece in Paris. This is part of... Hello Corinne, I hope it's all working, sound looking fine. Let me know, was it the right link that I sent out there? And I hope you managed to find it all right. But anyway, we're live. So I'm in the arènes de lutece. It's the Roman arenas of Paris. I said it on the Facebook intro before I got started here. It's one of the most interesting things in Paris as far as I'm concerned. It's about 2,000 years old, way older than most of the things that you see. And I'm just going to go for a bit of an explore, in case you're also intrigued by seeing what was once a gladiatorial arena and is now a football pitch, soccer field, and a place for playing pool. But it's a really interesting place, so I'm going to go for a little walk, explore. I'll turn the camera around and take you for a walk and let you see as if you're here. Fitzy Golf Pro watching, I'm glad, Brian, that you're here. You've never heard of this before, perfect. I'm no expert on it, but I figured we'd explore it together. You can get it up on Google if you want as well, Brian, and Corinne, or anyone else who's watching. If you feel like my facts don't match the internet, you can feel free to correct me. But really, this is about exploring. The general gist is that the 5th arrondissement, which is, let me just get back to it. I'm doing the 20 days of Christmas challenge that I've set myself, where I'm going to go to every arrondissement in Paris, one after the other. And because it's the 5th day of this challenge, we're in the 5th arrondissement. And personally, I think this is the most interesting thing, partly because most people like Brian have never heard of it, but also partly because it's just a cool place to go for a walk. So the history in brief, as I step down the steps, is that this place 2,000 years ago, built by the Romans. Apparently, I think I read that it was one of the best, sort of the proudest pieces of their arena-related work. And you have to imagine that the main thing that you have to do with this place is use your imagination, right? It would have been a lot bigger than it is now, and I'll tell you a little bit about why it's not as big in a second. But they say that it seated up to maybe 15,000 people. So, like I said, you've got to use your imagination. A lot of it has been rebuilt, a lot of it has been lost forever, and even some of the stones were apparently taken to make the Philippe Auguste wall that I talk about often, including yesterday. So what happened is, gradually over the centuries, so it was built in the 1st century, over these centuries it gradually got forgotten and disappeared. Win, I see your comments. I'm still getting used to the YouTube format here. Hello from Sala Dordogne. I lived in Paris, will always love it, so it's a pleasure following around. Great, it's a pleasure that you're joining. The idea is it got so lost that that no one eventually remembered where it was. So, which sounds kind of weird, but if you think that it continued for, this is centuries we're talking, it makes more sense. It got built over, got swallowed up, and then in, I think, the mid-19th century, they rediscovered it. They found where it was as they were building Rue Monge, which is over my shoulder behind us, and they started fighting to renovate it and bring it back to at least a shadow of its former glory. Just down the steps here. So spearheaded by Victor Hugo, the famous author, they rebuilt it. There was a goal, I think. There you go. Bit of football highlight too, soccer. So yeah, they dug it out and they rebuilt as best as they can. But like I said, you have to use your imagination to imagine it storing 15 or housing 15,000 people. But what I read is they even have these bits that we're looking at now. I saw a comment, I think it was from Korean, that said, were they gladiator fights? It wasn't just gladiator fights. They had, you know, like wild animals like lions and that kind of stuff fighting the gladiators too. And this is apparently where they would have been. Down in these bits, running around chasing the gladiators. There were gladiator fights. The picture better on YouTube than Facebook. That's interesting. I might have to sort of lean towards YouTube in the future, Brian. Although 10,000 followers on Facebook, can't be wrong. Let's see. So I was thinking to go through that entrance where all the football players are, but I think we might go around the back way because I don't want to get a football to the head. So we'll continue up this way. I'm glad the picture's better. The good thing about YouTube is that the video saves in high definition, so it's totally worth experimenting with. The downside is I see 4 people are watching this live compared to many more usually on Facebook. So we'll experiment with it. We'll see how it goes. But if you're wondering exactly where we are on the map, I can see in the background. I think I can remember the zoom works really well on YouTube. There you go. Rue de Navarre. And on the corner of Rue des Arènes as well, as you can see perhaps in the background. Oh yeah, the zoom is much better on YouTube. Okay, so here's what we're doing. We're walking, you can imagine, we're a little bit higher up. So as usual, I hope some of you guys have seen the videos that I did down in the Arles Arena, which was way more impressive than this one in terms of the fact that it's still standing, but you have to imagine just like and I saw we just had some internet problems, maybe persisting, could be. Let's have a look here. So it's still recording. I see the live maybe isn't working, and I think that's probably because it was trying to attach either to a Wi-Fi of a nearby McDonald's, which I've since turned off, or worse still, or more likely, we're in a 2,000-year-old arena, meaning we can forgive there being no internet for a while, perhaps. But let's see if it reconnects while I continue walking. I see comments still coming through, fine now, okay. It's saying to me that it's reconnecting and not working. Look, I'm still getting used to this YouTube, I don't know what's happening either. But I'll take you up for a little bit of a higher view of everything that's going on. Yeah, so this is the thing, the reason I'm doing this one for free and not behind a Patreon paywall is 1, because I don't have a guest with me today. 2, I'm no expert on this place and we're just doing an exploration. And 3, I wanted to figure out YouTube. So I'm going to be playing around a little bit here. This gives you a pretty good idea of what we're looking at. It's still telling me reconnecting here, so you have to let me know if you can see or not. But we're getting a good look at the arena and it's kind of not hard to imagine what it would have been like when you're up this high. Because you can imagine on the side where the buildings are now, that's Rue Monge. That would have been the stage coming down to where all the people were sitting, and we can go around this back way. Am I out of breath, Brian? People have commented on that before. Every time I walk up steps, I get out of breath. But yes, moving into a new apartment, 5th floor, no elevator. It will get me back to the fitness that I had when I first moved to Paris and lived on the 7th floor with no elevator. Okay, Deborah, very clear and sound is good. That's good to hear. So this bit. See, I'm exploring with you guys. I've never been on this side before, but this could have been almost certainly one of the tunnels that went around the back, where the gladiators would have been getting ready, or the actors, or whoever were using it before they came out. And then same with this side. But I think we'll go to what is I think the main entrance. And for those people who are just joining now, we're at the arènes de lutece, watching what would have once been tigers and lions killing gladiators, but is now 8 Frenchmen playing soccer. But now that they're all over on that side, we can sneak through to the main entrance and have a look. But usually it's very calm here. Like the other couple of times that I've been here, you see them playing like pétanque or boule or bocce, whatever you want to call it. Another Roman game, incidentally. So I've come around to this main entrance. So I'm going to go under. The internet might be even bad once again. But there's one of those Histoire de Paris signs that I'll take a look at, but I'll let these guys have a read of it first. So interesting to see on my screen it's spinning and saying reconnecting, but by your comments I can assume that it's working again. But here's some. So it says that the northern part was discovered in 1869, the southern part between 1883 and 1885, and restored right there at the end of the First World War. So it's only for 100 years have people been kicking around here, I assume playing football. We can take a little look at this as well. A few other people trying to read over my shoulder, so I won't. Okay, so they say that it was maybe built at the end of the 1st century. An amphitheater ruined by Barbar invasions in the 3rd century, and the walls, the material of the walls were reused. And then, yeah, like I said before, the dates of discovery. But there's an idea, so you can see, you can sort of get an idea what it would look like, a lot grander than it looks today. And then restored in 1917 to its original state. So we just have one more. It's a shame they got all this scaffolding around, because I think the entrance itself is a rather grand one, but maybe that's exactly what they're restoring. Shame. All right, we're going for one last look. You can feel like your gladiator is walking in with me. But I think, you know, to be honest, I think this could use a bit of work. This isn't there's probably a reason that they're not giving this as much attention as the Eiffel Tower and the Arc de Triomphe. It's because no one really comes here as tourists. Yet. Anyway, in a summer day, a nice summer day, this is a good place to come for a picnic. There are a lot of people, even when the weather's not that great like today, you can see people sitting on the benches just chilling out. And I think there's a park just beyond the tree line there, a small park, but another good place to come for a coffee. But personally, I think I'm going to give that, I'm going to call it a day on this as I click around behind the scenes. A little bit irritating to see the reconnecting thing spinning all the time, but good to know that you guys could watch. Let me know if you got any feedback. And then, yes, Brian, add it to your to-do list. This place is totally worth seeing. Maybe get a real guide to show you around rather than just explore, but I don't think you really need it. I think what you need is to come down here with a coffee or a sandwich, sit on the benches and enjoy it like I'd usually do. As for me, I'm gonna go find a coffee myself. I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for watching. Now to figure out how to stop it. There you go. Bye-bye.